Good afternoon, guys. I'm showing you a soil pH lab, and I'm going to walk through what I did if you missed the live event this morning. So a little bit of background. What's the pH of soil? Why does pH affect, or why does it matter to the soil? So pH measures the amount of acidity or alkalinity in the soil, or in this case the soil, but in general how acidic or how basic something is. pH is relevant to the garden and plant growth and all of that good stuff because it tells us what the nutrients, or it's an indicator of what nutrients may be available or lacking in the soil. Likewise, microorganisms like bacteria specifically like the soil pH around 6 to 7. So therefore, with that slightly acidic soil, the bacteria is breaking down some of the larger items. So for example, like right here is this pine straw is decaying. It's providing nutrients in the soil that is allowing this fresh grass to grow and making the soil healthier. Some of the things that we need: nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur. The different pHs indicate what all might be there as well. So when we are testing, we want to pick 3 different spots to test from, and the reason for that is it gives us a better average of the overall health of the soil in the area. And it likewise, I took samples from my front yard, my side yard, and then my backyard to kind of see how the pH is affected based on its location. And likewise, yesterday with that 3 inches of rain I got here, a lot of nutrients and the pH of the soil kind of balanced out, kind of went towards neutral a little bit. So I had to dig deeper so that I could find some soil from different areas to be able to show you. So I'm sure you guys can read this, pause the video after you finish reading my little introduction paragraph. Alright, so determine the soil ingredients. So I dug up some soil. We're going to put it on paper and see what we see. I know that it's not white paper, but it's what I got right now. So this was what was in my side yard. So right here there's a little bit of bark and roots. This white right here, it's from some nutrients that I put in. It's really perlite, and the purpose of that is to allow the soil to have airy spots, and so that way water can permeate through. That yellow right there is some fertilizer that's still left over, but we see some tree roots, some fibrous materials from other kinds of roots. The little bitty dots are a little bit of sand and a little bit of silt as well. Going down, the soil texture. So what we're doing is we're going to take this and I'm going to put it in my fingers and kind of feel it around to try and determine the texture. And on your document I forgot to put loam, but what this is a silty loam, which is a decent soil for growing things here down in the south. A little bit of silty, or it says our sample is mostly put silty loam, L-O-A-M, and we know this because it's smooth, not sticky. That's the smaller parts, and the loam is also part of the airy piece of the soil as well. Not compact. So now, scroll down a little bit farther, we have the pH of the soil. So we have the 3 different samples, and I called one Lee, one Addy, I believe, and then one Carter. Okay, so we're going to measure the pH first, because to expedite this process, I went ahead and filled the samples with water earlier so that it can sit there a little bit longer and we could get a better reading. We're going to take the actual pH with my handy dandy tool here, and then we'll test with the vinegar, a home test with vinegar and baking soda, and if neither one react, that's a good soil because it's not going to react to either one. So let's measure the pH. Okay. There we go. Right about 7.1 is what it was registering earlier as well. So therefore, on our document, pH, we're going to put 7.1. Is that acidic or alkaline? Well, anything over 7 is alkaline, anything under 7 is acidic. Alkaline, correct. Alright, Addy's sample. Okay, we're sitting right about 5. So 5 is acidic. That's too acidic. So if ideal soil grows between 6 and 7, 5 is too acidic. We'll need to balance that out a little bit later. Now Carter sample. Get about 6.8, 6.9. So with our 6.9 sample, is that acidic or alkaline? I hope you said slightly acidic. The your sample column is if you want to do this at home yourself. You do not have to fill that out. Alright, now time for the analysis. What nutrients might be limited in Farmer Lee's field? Well, with slightly alkaline, we scroll up to this chart, and slightly, very slightly alkaline is this column right here. So it's pretty good. It's a good soil, but we're looking for what's maybe lacking. As this kind of tapers off and gets slightly grayer rather than dark, you could say it may need a little manganese. What might be limited in Addy's field? Well, it was medium acidic to strong acidic, probably medium acidic on the grand scale of 1 to 7. 5 is closer to the 7. So medium acidic, but it would still be lacking calcium and magnesium as well, or limited in those. Not completely lacking, but limited. And then Carter's was very slightly acidic. So that's this column right here. There's not really limited nutrients for his. So now we're on question 4. If needed, what method for amending soil pH would you advise each farmer? Well, Farmer Lee at 7.1 is okay. You could put a little bit of a material down to make it slightly acidic overall, and to get it between the 6 and 7, because when you have lots of rain like we just did yesterday, it'll balance out. So it could have been slightly more alkaline pre-rain. Addies, very acidic, so I need you to look up what you could put on there to bring that to be more alkaline, or less acidic would be better way of saying it, less acidic. And Carter's is pretty good. We'll leave his alone. So you could Google those to figure out what answers you would advise the farmer. Then I want you to list 5 crops that do well in slightly acidic soil. So a lot of times, if it's slightly acidic or slightly alkaline, you don't really spread chemicals down, because then it's not, well, it would take away the organic part, but even if you're not an organic farmer, it's still adding chemicals or fertilizers to the plants. So give me 5 crops that will do well in the slightly acidic soil, like Carter's, and 5 crops that will do well in slightly alkaline soil, like Lee's. If you have any questions, shoot me an email. Thanks.